Catch up with Mayor Matthew Dickinson, who is coming to us live from the Goldie this morning. I hope the weather's horrible up there for you, mate.
Oh, look, it did rain a little bit, but it's still a nice, balmy 17 degrees at the moment.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's not too bad.
How dare you be up there living at large on the Goldie.
That's right.
Hey, let's talk about this touch football conference coming to Dubbo in February next year. I hear it's going to pull some crowds.
It's going to pull a huge crowd. This is going to be fantastic. In fact, I can't think of a bigger multi-day crowd event that Dubbo's ever had. Sure, with the NRL, we got 12,000 people coming to visit Dubbo. This is going to see 10,000 people for up to about 4 days. So this is in February next year, 24th to the 26th of February. It's the New South Wales Touch Junior State Cup Northern Conference. Now, we actually put in a bid for this a couple of years ago because they do it on a 3-year rolling contract. And we put the bid in and we weren't successful. Port Macquarie was successful. And last year was the first year it was meant to be held in Port Macquarie, but it got rained out. And this year was the second year it was meant to be held in Port Macquarie, but it got rained out. So New South Wales Touch said that, and they actually had a get-out clause in their contract. So they went back to Port Macquarie and gave them the bad news that unfortunately they can't hold it there again. Their members were just too unhappy with it. So they had to look somewhere else. They came and spoke to Dubbo. We said we're happy to have them here. And the Dubbo Touch Football Association have been fantastic as well. They've jumped on board. They've contributed to the whole process. So they've been really supportive of it. So we put in another bid and of course we got that. We think this will inject about $7 million into our economy. 4,000 players, 6,000 supporters. It'll be a fantastic event.
Plus, Dubbo doesn't usually rain as much as other parts of the state. So.
No, that's right. And in February, it won't be too bad. But our fields are pretty good too. Even if we get some rain, you can still play on many of our fields unless it's a complete downpour. And that would be horrible luck because after this one, they then go out for their next bid for another 3-year contract. So if we do a successful event and then put in a game, we might have a pretty good chance of getting it for the next 3 years after this.
Looking forward to seeing how it all plays out at the start of next year. Now, let's talk about what I'm seeing over the front page of the Liberal and everything at the moment. Taco Bell talking about coming to town, and apparently they're at head-to-head with council over signs on Copper Street. What's going on? Is this a case of everyone being stubborn, or what's the deal?
Well, it's just a case of legislation. There's what's called the SEP, the State Environmental Plan, and they've got certain rules associated with what things you can do. As you can imagine, any development, you put in a DA, there's certain regulations and rules around it. One of the rules that's across the state is that a sign must be on the same block that the actual building or the business is on. So you can't just go and put a sign up randomly somewhere that relates to a business somewhere else. Now, with this particular scenario, the Taco Bell itself will be just down Hawthorn Street, not very far, and they wanted to put a Taco Bell sign up on Cobra Street. And that makes sense because you want to have that signage on the actual street itself. But unfortunately, it wasn't on the same parcel of land. So it went through the DA process. The proponents of this were told by the staff that it wouldn't be allowed, it's not permissible. They said that's fine, we understand that, but please take it to council because councillors could overrule it, but it could be challenged in the local environment court. So we went down that path, came to council, and of course we said, well, it's not permissible, so I'm sorry, you can't do it. And so we rejected that, and so that DA was rejected. Now, there was talk in the paper, of course, that we're not coming now because it's going to be, it's going to affect our business and people are going to find it. But I'm pretty confident that people will still find Taco Bell wherever they are. Now, just before people jump up and down about it, there are places in other areas that do have signs that aren't on their particular parts of land. That's historical planning. So, for example, you drive into Coonabarabran, there will be 30 signs along the road there as you drive into Coonabarabran and on billboards don't relate to the actual one itself. So billboards are slightly different, but also people are familiar with other signs. So historically, some people did get away with it, but now going forward for new signage, it's got to be on that same parcel of land.
So Taco Bell needs to convince the service station to let them sign right their wall or something and say, Taco Bell this way.
I think if they put up that sign they're talking about there, I think you'll see it from the highway anyway, but I think Taco Bell's a big enough name that people will find them. They don't have to drive far around from the traffic lights there. I love to see Taco Bell come to town. Carl's Jr. has been a good addition. It's the same developers with Carl's Jr. and the service station. So that's fantastic. Again, it's just a matter of following the rules. In this case, it doesn't meet the requirements, so we had to say no.
Now, Matthew Dickinson, I know you're on the Gold Coast. You're probably waiting there for your breakfast or something. Well, you read your paper, watching the surf. I'll let you get back to it, but thanks so much for your time this morning.
The waves are crashing. I better go out and hang 10.